John and Rick, the flipper boys, chasing dreams in worn out toys, cardboard treasures old and rare. History's whispers fill the air. Pre-war legends in their hands, faded heroes from distant lands, super rare with tales untold, vintage diamonds worth more than gold.
It's time for the John and Rick Show. The John and Rick Show is not filmed in front of a live studio audience. Are you ready? Let's go!
All right, Rick.
How are you?
Hey, John. Good, man. I'm fantastic.
Great to hear.
Ready for another episode, episode 3 of whatever we want to call it. Right? I'm not sure we're going to stick.
Stay off our lawns. That seems to be a good title.
That's right. Okay, we'll stick with that then.
All right. So, what's on your mind today?
Well, I've always wondered why, when we have new information with some of these sets and issues, why doesn't the grading companies change the labels and update them? Some they do, but some they don't. And I think both of us have cards to show examples of we think these labels should be at least considered to be updated. So that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's always been a problem for me as well. It's like we have newer information, and they just are stubborn and keep putting the same labels on. I mean, let's take the most obvious one, the 49 Leaf. Do they still label these as 1948 or 1948-49?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, do they?
I don't know.
I've never seen them labeled 1949, but it's even though we know pretty definitively they're from 1949, they insist on keeping that 48 label.
Yeah. What do you think? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know what they go by. You know, I have seen recently where people are saying that SGC doesn't want to do any research. So they're just labeling them like they always did, or won't grade them at all if they don't know what they are. And to me, if you're card experts and you're the ones identifying these and putting them in slabs and creating flips, you're not willing to do any research. You're the experts.
Exactly. And I think they do have, well, supposedly had a research department, but you probably have a person that's never seen these before, and who knows how they research them. You know, they Google whatever. I have no idea.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. Certain cards have always been labeled certain things over the years, and that hasn't always been accurate. If we look at the 1888 Scraps Tobacco, for example, like these came to be known as Scraps Tobacco, and there's no such company as Scraps Tobacco. Scraps was a term used for loose tobacco, used for all tobacco brands. And, you know, research shows that this was a gum card. And they refused to change the label on these. They still call them Scraps Tobacco.
Gotcha. No.
Like that's a perfect example.
Now, the person was probably Jefferson Burdick, right? Obviously, that named most of these.
Most of them, yeah.
And, back then it was the Wild West when it come to, I mean, these are things that he's never seen before. And there wasn't like a research department, Google, or anything else. He went by him doing his own research and friends in the hobby.
Right.
And, this is years and years later. And now we know that some of these things, he was wrong. And, because he just didn't have the info back then.
Yeah, so that brings me to Oh, I had another card laying around to talk about. I thought I did. I must not have grabbed it.
I can show you, or go ahead.
Well, the W560 set.
Okay.
Oh, I do have it. I do have it.
Okay.
So Jefferson Burdick labeled these as 1927. These little uh, card game cards. So he labeled these as 1927, but it's impossible that they were all issued in 1927 because there are players that didn't play, and this is multi-sport. And I did a deep dive on all the players, and there are players that either didn't play in 27 that are represented on cards, or they didn't play for the team they're shown with until later on. And so many people in the hobby believe these were from 1930, possibly 1929 or 1930. I personally believe that they were a multi-issue set, multi-year, which would explain the different colors that they have and so forth. And the fact, Walter Johnson's last season was 1927, and he has cards in this set. And they don't have players who were retired. And so that makes me believe they probably were started in 1927, but went on for multiple years. Regardless, the 1927 date on these as just 1927 is inaccurate. I mean, that can be proven that they were either later or multi-year set, as I believe they were. And so it begs the question, if you don't truly know and you don't want to do the research, how about we put a circa on there or something? Circa 1927 to 1930. Because 1927 is not accurate, and you would think that there were certain cards in here that were rookie cards if they were issued in 1927. For instance, Jimmy Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
Yeah. Now, that was a W560? What was
Yes.
it? Okay.
Yes.
You want to explain just briefly why it's called W, or 560 or E ish,
Yeah. So Jefferson Burdick assigned certain letters and numbers to different cards. Now, he did them in the order that he checklisted them. If you ever wonder why T205 is a lower number than T206, which the T206s were made later, I'm sorry, the T205s were made after the T206s, it's because he checklisted the T205s before he checklisted the T206. Now, the T, people think stands for tobacco, but it does not. T stands for 20th century tobacco. Just like the N stands for 19th century. He gave different designations with these letters. So W's are hand-cut cards. R's are what he referred to as recent issues. And those are, you'll find in the 1930s. That's why, recent doesn't make sense for us, but that's when he first cataloged them, was in the 30s. That was his first printing of his catalog. So it was recent to him. And so he gave those an R designation. The E cards are mostly caramel and candies. And I think he gave them an E as possibly edibles, standing for edibles. I don't know. I don't know what it stands for specifically. That was always a guess I had. So those are some examples.
Do you think, I'm thinking, I don't know, it'd be hard to do and it'd be confuse people. I mean, should we get rid of, come up with a new system and for baseball cards?
I don't think that's necessary. Okay. I wouldn't necessarily be in favor of it. We have come to know all these numbers over the years, and they make a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, possibly some reclassifications here or there. Mm-hmm. But just simply labeling them the way they are, and if you don't know the precise year, put a circa. Yeah. I've seen that done with photos, right? Don't you have photos that say circa? Yeah, because they're not positive the exact year. So they put circa.
Let's see here. I have,
for anybody that doesn't know what circa means, that means approximately around that time.
Yeah. So for instance, I have here circa 1920s universal toy. It's hard to see this, but circa 1920s universal
Yep.
toy.
They should
And
do
so,
that more, in my opinion.
because they're not sure. Most likely, doing a research on this, it should be called. It says Universal Toy, but it should be called Universal Toy Novelty Company. That's the full company.
Right.
They just, for whatever reason, whoever did that, Jefferson Burdick or someone else, but it's actually because of the players in the set and the uniforms. Not necessarily Walter Johnson, but most likely it was 20. It would have been 1922-23 issue, but we really don't for sure know. But there's players that were traded, didn't play for that team, but maybe we're going to be signed with that, that type of thing. We're not positively sure, so they just put 1920s. But
right.
for my research, 1922-23. It was a universal. Universal toy novelty. It would be a package with a bunch of toys in it, and one would be a little set of baseball cards, of strips.
Yeah,
and it's been meant to be cut by the kids. I guess.
Yeah.
There might have even been scissors in the box. But anyway, that's an example that you're just mentioning when they're unsure.
Yeah, and I want to go back to the W560 set again, and just point something else out. I don't think we can dismiss the 1927 out of hand. And that's why I believe it was a multi-set issue. Because Jefferson Burdick was collecting cards at that time, and he labeled them 1927, which makes me believe that he got some in 1927. And that's why he labeled them that year. And that's, again, why I think they're a multi-year set.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's another example. And going back for a minute, one thing that drives me crazy on PSA slabs, a lot of them, is they won't put a year at all. So it'll just say T212.
Okay.
And for newer collectors and even seasoned collectors that might not be familiar with that set, they're looking around, or they have it, or they just want it labeled correctly. I like to see that year on there. Don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't understand why they don't put a year. We know those are from 1912. How hard is it to put 1912 T212?
The more information, the better, for me at least. More information. I don't mind if it's kind of cluttered, except for that big number there. But besides
the T, that doesn't add that doesn't even add much space.
Yeah.
I'm not asking a paragraph, but.
No, exactly.
Here's another example. So this is a W555 series set. And these were always labeled as 1907, as this Hannes Wagner is here. They later updated it to 1909. But I believe that these have to be a 1910 issue, or again, a multiple year issue, because there was a Kovaleski card with the Reds, and he did not play with the Reds until 1910. So how could they make the card in 1909 or 1907? It would be impossible. Again, this year needs updated.
No. Now on that, I have some more information on that. This actually is, I have the Johnny Evers here. And what they were, back then, Jefferson Burdick thought, it's a strip card. Okay. The reason he thought that initially was there's an advertising strip of these very similar to these, okay, but not exactly, don't have the same border, looks similar. And so he saw these strips, which were actually advertising strips for this. And what this is the baseball snapshot. And I did a video on it, and we actually saw when we were at the National, the guy had that box. And
he made a 3D printer of it.
Box,
he 3D printed it.
And then you would put these on the ground. You cut these off the box and put them, and you look through it like you're looking at a camera.
Yes.
Through a camera. And so
really cool.
These I believe to be, not W555s, but actually those baseball snapshots by the J. Meyer Company. So do you remember that, right? That guy, we We
Yeah.
were he was showing these things. So I think doing my little research on this for this episode is there's something very similar, a strip of cards, and they look very similar to these, but they're not exactly the same. And most people, at least on Net 54, think they were advertisements for the baseball bat snapshot candies. So that's kind of my. So anyway, we know this for sure now. Literally, we know this for sure.
And we've seen the boxes where
We've seen the boxes.
you cut them out.
Yeah, I did a video.
Yeah.
On that, and the guy that, and I can't remember his name, but when we went to his booth and he was giving us all kinds of information, he actually made a box, from the picture he saw, and
yeah, it was so cool.
It was very cool. So anyway, this should.
I'd like to get one of those made for myself.
This one should definitely be changed. So anyway, that's the W555. So they could say maybe say something. Formerly W555, now baseball snapshots.
Yeah,
that type of thought. It was a candy issue.
Let's take another obvious one, and that is the 47 Bond bread. So you have the Bond bread that has the rounded corners, and I don't know. PSA doesn't even grade these anymore, do they? Or did they ever?
No.
SGC grades them. So you have the square corner one, and they still call the square corner one Bond bread, even though we know that these were Arco playing company cards. Now, the standard catalog of vintage baseball cards has always listed these as Arco. And so why are the grading companies so stubborn to call them, or the hobby in general, to keep calling them Bond bread when they clearly have square corners? The Bond bread were rounded corners to fit in the bread. They have different color backs. The square ones are a little darker. The Bond bread are whiter. And we know where these came from. They came in boxes of 12 with a cutout opening. And I did a deep dive on this. The Arco Playing Company made Beatles cards, and they made playing cards. Their playing cards had very similar boxes to the boxes these came in. The Beatles cards that they do and their playing cards had a similar card stock, but the Beatles cards look exactly very similar to on the back. But people refuse to acknowledge these or even grade them because there are fakes out there. But the fakes, in my opinion, don't even look the same.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they have these same images with a cardboard back, and they call these Bond bread exhibits, even though there's no evidence whatsoever that Bond bread ever did exhibits. These are most likely some arcade exhibits or something else. And maybe it should be a UNC designation, but they definitely shouldn't be called Bond bread unless they know something that we don't. And these are very scarce, and I think... I don't know. I want my flips to be accurate, and this is not accurate.
I don't know why. I'm wondering. Before we started, I'm wondering if they just don't confuse the other newer collectors, or they're why they don't change these things. It's just mind.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't want to be the experts, they're the experts. So. They're supposed to know this stuff.
Yeah.
They're the supposed experts.
Exactly.
I mean, with everything that we know and all the information available at our fingertips, even Google searching companies and when they existed and stuff is relatively easy for most. You would think that they would have this stuff down by now. I mean, we've known those aren't Scraps tobacco forever. Yeah. And here's something else, and this just proves that there's no double checking, there's no research involved. I have this Ray Dandridge, so it's 19. They labeled it as 1945-46 Carmelo Deportivo, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually the more rare following year, and there's a number on here. A simple look at the checklist. A simple look at the checklist will tell you this is not from the year that's on the flip. You know, it's real simple stuff. This is like first grade level stuff to figure this out. And so
Get off
clearly
my
nobody's
lawn.
double checking it, but are they not putting any effort into it whatsoever? Did some new grader just, you know, I don't know. But these are kinds of things, and you see it, man. I see it all the time on here. People will show a card and say, "This is the wrong flip. It's actually from this set, or it's actually from this year, or whatever." It's like collectors know this, so why don't the experts know this?
Get off my lawn. I don't know.
Get off our lawn. So you have any other examples?
Yeah, I have this 1911 baseball bats here. Okay. And this was a candy issue, baseball bats. And what it was little licorice. It was basically a licorice company that produced these, okay? The little stick of licorice, small licorice, whether they meant to be bats or like cigarettes back then, you know, but they were licorice. And it says 1911 baseball bats, but there's actually an advertisement, a trade magazine advertisement that someone found that said May of 1912 for these. So maybe they came in 1911, but for sure they came in they were produced also in 1912 because the trade magazine had an advertisement for these, and it shows you the actual package with the little licorice sticking out. So most likely it's a 1912 issue, not a 19.
Yeah. Now I think it's important to point out for the listeners, so there's no confusion if they stumble on something named bats. There were also cigars they called baseball bats.
Yeah, yeah.
But that particular issue was licorice.
Yeah, I have some notes here because I forget everything. And there's a couple of players like Joe Flynn and Elmer Kruger. I guess there's whatever. And some guy did some research that it had to be 1912, couldn't have been 1911 because of, again, who they played for, didn't play for.
Right. That's easy to look up. I mean, I've done it myself. That's with the W560. I looked at nearly every player. Every athlete, I should say, because it's a multi-sport
who knows
set.
where the 1911 came? You know, anyway, someone could tell Burdick. Burdick did it. Someone else did it. Maybe it is part 1911 too. Who knows? You know, but definitely 1912.
Yeah, yeah, and I think many of these are probably multi-year sets.
Sure.
And Jefferson Burdick got them the first year.
Yeah,
and so that's what he knows. Like that set I said.
Yeah,
because why else would he name it 1927? I think he was 21 years old, or no, 27 years old, I think. I looked up his birth. I think he was 27 years old when the W560s came out. So he was an adult collecting cards. Again, pointing to the fact that he probably got them in 27. That's why he put that number there.
Yeah.
But maybe he didn't know they continued to produce them.
Yeah, we definitely can't blame him.
No. I mean, cutting edge research. We owe him a great gratitude.
Yeah. It would have been fun back then as a collector to go, hey, what is this? Now we've seen almost everything, almost.
Yeah.
And but back then he's going, what the heck? There's ships. There's there's ships. There's pirates. There's flowers. There's baseball players. There's different.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, he cataloged every card, not just baseball cards. I have the 53 printing. His original printing was in the 30s, and I have the second printing from 53 of the original catalog. Pretty cool.
Yeah, so
just hanging on my wall.
We're not. He's definitely not blaming him for anything.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But there's new information, and like I said, the grading companies don't do anything. I have here, this is kind of funny. So I have my, it says 3039 Rogers Pete Ty Cobb. And this is a clothing company, a high-end clothing company, kids clothing company. And so they would give these to the kids, I guess why the parents were shopping or whatever. And they're meant to be put in an album. Well, it says here 30 to 39, okay? And then we now know they were probably issued over the years. But if you look at PSA, I've looked through all because there's not a lot of these, so I can go through all the ones that sold or whatever. And PSA labels them 2930. All of theirs are 2930. SGC says 30 to 39 as the years. So what is it? Does it start? Maybe it started 29. So why does it say 30, 39? Like you said, maybe they should use, the 30s or whatever, So it's just kind of interesting. Two different big companies. Now they're basically owned by the same company. And one, even to this day, newer label says one's 2930, the other 30 to 39.
Yeah.
So that's another.
Something else, and I don't have any examples. I don't know if you might off the top of my head, but something else they do is sometimes they won't put a variation down where one variation is way more rare than another, and they won't distinguish. So if you go into the pop report, they label them all the same, and you can't tell how many of each there are.
Yeah.
And when you get to label, you don't even know it's a variation, maybe.
Yeah, when we get to eventually, I know you don't do it, I don't do it, but I probably know a little more than you on this, is the set registry and how they weight cards and give, like some are very, there's a Gaudy Ruth and they give it a 3 points or whatever they give it. And then there's a very rare Ruth and they also give it 3 points. But then some they give 5 points, some they give 1 point. And it's just kind of crazy how they, the set registry does the weight of the cards, and how,
do you participate in that?
No. The only reason I look at it is just to see a checklist, the master checklist of certain players, just to see if the card, just for my own info, if it's on there. And then I try to figure out, God, how do they weight these things? It can't be, there's no way it can be like the York cards, the 27, is it 27 Yorks?
Yeah.
20, whatever. Yeah. And there's two types, type 1, type 2. And the type 2s are definitely rarer than the type 1s, but they give them the same point system. So anyway, it's just, that's a whole different get off my lawn episode in the future. I guess a computer generates all this stuff, but somebody has to put the information in originally. And
it just blows our minds that they, over the years, don't update these things as we clearly know more information.
Yeah. Anyway, that's we'll cover that eventually, and we can.
All right.
Something else to complain about.
Do you have any other examples?
Oh, I got a bunch of them.
Let's go. Let's see it.
27 Honey Boy. Okay. 27 Honey Boy. It should actually be called the Purity Ice Cream Company.
Is that right?
Yeah, Honey Boy was just one of their brands.
Okay.
One of their ice creams. But it should be Purity Ice Cream.
So that came in all their ice creams and not just the Honey Boy?
Yes.
Yes. Didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were advertising for you. If you turned in the, all the cards, you would get a block of their Honey Boy ice cream. But it was actually the Purity Ice Cream Company.
Okay.
So Bobby, I don't know if you know Bobby Burrell, who's kind of an expert when it comes to Canadian issues, hockey issues, and so forth. And he actually commented when I originally did this, and he was saying it should be called actually the Purity Ice Cream Company.
Yeah, and those are out of Canada.
Out of Canada. So anyway, that's something that's, they call it Honey Boy. I have here. Oh yeah, I think you have this exact card, the 1910 WUNC strip card.
Yeah,
I remember originally. I go, John. I got something you don't have. I know you don't have it, and you pull this one out. We might have the only two. I don't know.
We have a lot of rare cards in common, which is just crazy.
It was the funniest thing because I got this from James, Lead Hunters. I said, man, wait till I show John this on our little chat, and you pull yours out. But
now those were cut off of notebooks, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They're not a strip card. We know for a fact they were cut off a notebook. One side had the National League, one side had the American League, and kids was meant to. I think there's 13.
So they should be called hand cut.
Yeah,
not strip.
Yeah. So these were not strip cards themselves. Okay.
What's the set? There's one set, and I'm drawing a blank on it right now, where they mark it as hand cut, but they're actually not hand cut.
Oh.
Is that the W575s or the
Uh,
W501s? It's one of
there is.
those.
I don't know, but you're right. You're right.
Yeah, they mark them as hand cut, and they're
Or
not hand cut.
is the novelty company you just picked up a novelty something card,
Leader
candy
novelty.
card. Leader
Leader
novelty.
novelty.
Does that say hand cut on yours, or just says
I
leader?
don't know. I'd have to double
Okay.
check.
All right, because I think they were actually from a package, not hand cut.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think so too. They're just, back then, sometimes they were a little crudely cut where they look like they might have been hand cut. That doesn't mean they were. That's just the way they came out of the package sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't have the cutting machines they do nowadays.
Right.
Some guy's probably going like this.
Right. That's why they're rare. They didn't make that many.
Probably had it too much to
some
drink,
dude's cutting them out.
We got all kinds of different shapes and sizes. This will get some people riled up. Is the 1909 Colgan's chip? No, the square proof.
Oh,
they call these square proofs, but they're not.
There's no way those are proofs. No way.
Exactly.
They don't even line up. Like if you were to cut them out, they're not the right size.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe they
don't look like something they would use to take the photo. I truly, I'm with you. I think those are a totally different set that nobody knows.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. They could be 1909. Who knows if they're even 1909 for that matter? I don't think they even know that.
Those are a real mystery.
Yeah,
I believe they're real cards from that era and from right around there. They could be 1909, but I don't think they're proofs. I think they're just a separate issue. Yeah. And as we know, they reused a lot of photographs over the years. I just showed the Bond Bread and the Arco company cards and the Bond Bread exhibits. Those are all the same images. And many of those images are used on the 51, 52 Burke Ross sets. So it was common for people to peddle these images around to these companies. Or maybe the same printer used them for multiple, multiple companies.
Yeah, I've seen some of them. Mine looks like it was taken out of an album, you can see the backing. I've seen others like this too, but maybe it was the same.
Well, that makes sense because they're small square. Maybe they were meant to be almost like stamps that you were to place in an album. I mean, that was pretty common with different issues over the years.
It would be cool to know. This would be one issue I would be really interested if somebody finds something in the future, if it was cut off a box or whatever. This would be
find some advertisement or something, because those are a real mystery.
Yeah. Now I have here, I was too lazy to go down to my safety deposit box. Yesterday, I was going to go down and get a couple cards, and I basically said it's starting to rain here, and I said screw it.
That's some real first world problems right there, dude.
So here is the 1924 Gutierrez. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Diaz cigarettes. Okay, a Cuban issue, and it says Diaz cigarettes. But you have a page off an album. It's Tomas Gutierrez.
Yeah.
This says Diaz, but it's actually Tomas Gutierrez cigarettes because you have a page. And Diaz used to be for. Basically, that's what it should be called. Okay, Tomas Gutierrez cigarettes, not Diaz cigarettes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because your page.
You're educating me here.
There we go.
You're learning me a little something.
Now, Tomas Gutierrez was the owner of the company, and Diaz was apparently. God, I forgot the background, but that's what it should be called. Tomas
was
Gutierrez.
Diaz a brand, maybe, and they came.
I think he was an owner. He was an owner for 1 year or something like that for the company, or they exchanged hands or something. But the reason I match it up is the same year they had their photo album, and it has Tomas Gutierrez. So I'm thinking that's what it actually should be called.
You could be right.
But I don't know. And
we need to start our own research department.
There we go. Now this one, I always say my Drake's Cake, Ruth. Okay. Drick's cake. It says 1925. Okay. That's mine. Now, here is a older label, 1932. Yankee cake back. So there's two. There's a Yankee cake back, a Drick's cake back. So why is this say 30? It should be 32. Okay. This is an older label. And mine says 25. Exact same card, exact same set. You know what I'm saying? So it confuses people. And it has to be 32 because he didn't make pictures for Universal Pictures movies until 1932. So it could have been 25. He made 3 shorts. And these were like these are mostly movie stars. He was the only player.
And so what you're saying is it's easy to look this stuff up and figure it out.
This is definitely easy. And of course, there's movies that were never made in 1925. Some other movie stars like Fairbanks and, you know, whatever those old movie stars were.
Yeah.
And they didn't make their movies came out. They weren't working for those picture companies until later. They weren't working in 19. So anyway, there's 2 different. I'm showing examples of a newer label that says 1932. I'm sorry, not a newer label says 1925. An older label says 1932. Doesn't make any sense.
That's good info. No, it doesn't.
I mean, I'm just.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, we're
grading doesn't make any sense.
It's crazy. So those are kind of ones I have kind of go over. The bottom line, what's the bottom line, John, on these things?
The bottom line is, I mean, are they experts or not? Do they not want to have research department do any work? Some of this stuff is so simple to look up. I mean, a simple check against the checklist to see the number on the card that I showed, for instance. I mean, this stuff is out there. The Bond bread with the star, Arco, like that's been in the standard catalog of baseball cards forever as Arco. They knew it. So why don't the grading companies know it?
And I know Andrew, enough said cards. He has some rare stuff, postcards, things that one of ones, and he does send research in because they're unidentified, you know, and so he'll send pictures or whatever. He'll do the research on it, and I guess sometimes they change, you know, they slab it, and sometimes they don't, you know, depending on what I guess he shows PSA.
Yeah, you know, Bob Lemke was the publisher of the editor of the standard catalog of baseball cards, and he would constantly update that, like every new issue with information he would get, and people would send him stuff. I sent him a set, and I checklisted it for him. It was an early Dodgers photo pack, and they didn't have that one in there, and he asked me to checklist it and send him sample pictures, so I had done that. And that way, that book kept getting more and more up to date, and it kept expanding with more and more knowledge. And if we found something was different, they would update that. And I just don't think the grading companies are taking this stuff seriously enough where they do that. You know, we have access to all this information, and it's hard to understand why they won't want to put the accurate set, the accurate year on these flips.
Yeah. I mean, they could very easily do formally whatever, you know, something if you don't want to confuse somebody or something, or just change it. I don't know.
Just change it, make it accurate. Yeah, it's confusing.
Definitely. But yeah, I agree. It's you know, it's kind of fun to go, hey, wait a minute here. This is not that year, or what? This is not this, that, or.
It is kind of fun. It forces you to do your own research because, like I said, the experts aren't doing it for you.
Yeah, I know you remember. God, what was that? It was a strip card or something. Was it? It was something like this, but it had Brown on the bottom, and so they said it was Mordecai Brown. But it was actually whoever Brown.
It took me a 2-minute search on Google to find out that it was Boardwalk Brown, a totally different picture. He even had the wrong. He had an A on his jersey. Mordecai Brown never played for the Athletics. That should be a red flag right there.
There's
I
other.
mean, it's just moronic. And you know, people are paying up thinking it's a Mordecai Brown card.
Yes.
It doesn't look like Mordecai Brown. It's not in a uniform Mordecai Brown ever wore. And a simple Google search shows you the exact image. And he's on. It's pretty much the same image. I think it's the exact same image, but similar for sure to the 1914 Fatima card, Fatima card that they put him on, Boardwalk Brown. So, I mean, this research would take under 5 minutes to figure that out.
Yeah, and there's what's the one that it's a Mel Ott card or something, but it's a different player. It's a Harrington issue or something.
Oh yeah, there's several of those. So Paul Wainer is actually what's his name? George Grantham. They show him, and they still listed as that, and Bill Terry too.
Bill
That's
Terry.
a totally
I'm thinking
different-
Bill Terry.
Yeah, and they still listed as well. I mean, but the card company lists him as Bill Terry and Paul Wainer. So I can't fault them for that because it was the card company that put the wrong image on. The name does say Paul Wainer. The name does say Bill Terry. But I'll tell you this, it would be helpful for collectors who want to buy those things to put on there who's on the image. And I have seen them do this with other cards. You want to, because I know people who had no idea. They're all proud to get the Paul Wainer and they're showing it off. And I'll point out to them that's actually George Grantham. And they had no idea. And they bought it because of Paul Wainer. Now, it's a Paul Wainer card. So you might want it anyway. You might want it anyway, even though it's the wrong image. But you should know that. Maybe you don't pay up for that, or maybe you don't want it at all. You want to get a different Paul Wainer card that actually shows him. So that would be useful to put on a flip. So-and-so shown, you know?
Yeah, and a lot of even, not all, and I don't even know what, I've seen it before, auction houses too. They'll say it's Babe Ruth or Bill Terry, and they don't correct it. And they have a chance because they always have a paragraph underneath about the card or the set, and they don't mention that. That's another player.
You brought up Babe Ruth. Guys were peddling this card as Babe Ruth. You remember the one where he's in like baggy pants and a cap with a swimmer, with a female swimmer, and they're peddling this off as a Babe Ruth card. And again, a simple search will show you that he was the coach for that swimming team. It wasn't Babe Ruth at all. You know, it resembled him, but even facially it didn't look exactly right. But they were peddling this off as a Babe Ruth for a long time.
No, you can go right now on eBay and find that card, and it'll say Babe Ruth.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
There are a lot of misleading, unscrupulous sellers, and there are some people that are just uneducated, and that's why I always say, do your own research. Never trust a slab, because you see errors all the time. I mean, always double check it. That's what I mean by when I say never trust a slab. Like, make sure it is the card the flip says it is, because there are sellers that will know it's not the card and won't point it out to you. They'll know it's not from that set and won't point it out to you because that's what the flip says, and so that's what you're buying. So always try to know for yourself. At least do the basic research and double check these things.
Yeah, people do
like that Mordecai Brown, for instance.
Yeah,
you know, those are on eBay, and you're on there, and you see it doesn't look right. He has an A on his shirt or whatever. Go double check. You know,
unless you're paying big money for these cards. You know?
Yeah, you could do a simple check like 1910 Philadelphia A's, and you'll see all kind of images come up and so forth. Or pull up their roster and start clicking on the players. I'll do that, and then their pictures will come up, and you start comparing.
Yeah.
You could even look up the old uniforms to see if the uniform matches in that time frame. Like sometimes we'll see an old photograph. We're trying to figure out when it's from. And you can sometimes tell by the uniform that they're in because they have kind of different uniforms pretty often.
Yeah. I mean, if you just, for those that are, just go on Net 54 if it's a vintage. Or somebody
great
will have,
resource.
If you type that in, then you can see, if you scroll down, you'll see information that it's not, it's not a Mordecai Brown, or it's not Babe Ruth, or all kinds of.
I'll tell you, I have the utmost respect for that group and the collectors in that group because they do, man. They do deep dive research, and the stuff that they uncover is incredible. Must have taken them hours upon
Oh,
hours of research to do some of this stuff.
for sure, to match up players with the years, who they played for, to
Yeah,
see if it's correct.
yeah. I did that one set, and man, it takes a long time.
Oh my God.
It's fun, but it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And the
So,
deep dive I did on the Bond Breads too, and the Arco cards. That took me a ton of time. But man, I went down rabbit holes, and I was comparing players and who they played for and who they're shown with, and looking up like other cards that Arco did, and man, it was fun. It was fun and rewarding, but definitely a ton of work.
yeah. Well, I don't know. We probably ran out of gas on that topic, huh? Till we find some more.
It's a good one. It's a good one. More people should talk
I'm
about
sure,
it.
you know, I'm strictly talking pre-war vintage, but I'm sure there's and even the modern, there's probably things that they do wrong and they don't change them, the labels
Yeah.
and so forth. And
Well, I've seen videos here and there. I don't pay that much attention because there's so many different variations with modern. I can't even blame them for getting those wrong sometimes.
why don't they mention that on the back of these modern cards?
Yeah,
That
they
says
should.
whatever on the bottom.
They kind of should. Now that they're making so many, like, is it a blue wave? Is it like some of them just stand out? Like, if it's a
Yeah.
Kaboom, if it's a Downtown, if it's a Disco, if it's just a straight silver refractor. But I don't know. Some of these I look at and I'm like, what is this? And I have to ask seasoned modern collector, what do they call this? What do they call this one?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the blue wave or the red wave or whatever.
Us old farts, we need to know these things, man. We can,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I don't really. I mean, I have some, but I just like you're saying, it's way too confusing. I have no idea, and I don't. You only have so much time in a day, and
Right.
to collect these things or the research.
And, they make 300 sets a year with all these different variations. It's so hard to keep track of. I've always said you need a PhD to be able to know all these modern cards. And maybe breakers or people who are constantly opening these boxes and getting updated on the new product. But it's really hard to keep up with all the new product.
Oh,
I mean, you used to just learn about it because you go to the local card shop or you go to Target or Walmart and they would have all kind of different products and you'd buy a box and you'd open them. But they've gotten so expensive and not readily available. So you can't even learn by trial and error anymore because not as many people are opening these boxes.
yeah, and you look at the back of the box, man. You get a magnifying glass to see, your chances of doing anything, hitting anything. It's like,
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I used to get Beckett's Sports Collectors Monthly, which had all the sports, and they would always promo all the upcoming sets and everything. And I don't see any news on upcoming sets. I don't know where to go to get all that information. The old, back in the day, going on to Tough Stuff or the Beckett's, that's how I always knew about all the new product coming out. Or
Yeah.
Sports Collectors Digest. Now that magazine is just becoming almost unreadable for me. All they do is show card shows and auction prices and
advertisements.
the big advertisements and the big sales on auction. A lot of memorabilia too. And it's like I just went to the National. I don't know. They focus so much on these card shows, and I don't know about you, but I don't enjoy reading about card shows.
Yeah.
I don't know why that would be entertaining. I have only so much time in the day, and it's not going to be reading about card shows, especially ones I attended.
Exactly, and then all you see is these $13 million that for $13 million card and all these $100,000 cards.
That's all you see.
That's
all you see. Nobody promotes just the love of card collecting anymore. It's just what's I sell for? Oh, pull this card and it could sell for $1 million. Oh, this card just sold for this. This card just sold for that. You know, at least PSA now just comes right out and says it. Use our slabs and you'll make more money. You know, I was watching Ruben for President Fanatics. He was on the financial news. He was on CNBC, and I'm watching it, and the whole segment was on sports gambling. And I'm like, well, at least they're just coming out now and embracing it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, and you hear these people say, "Oh man, the hobby, prices are going up. This is going to set the market." No one's going to spend $13 million on another card like that, you know, or any card. Who has $13 million to spend on a card? I'm looking at $100 cards. I'm not looking at, you know, the value.
Yeah, well, Kevin O'Leary, I heard him say he bought it with two other guys, and you know, it's just a long-term investment. When you have tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, paying $12,000 as an investment, they're just playing. They're just playing around. You know, that's totally different than what most collectors do. Clearly, most collectors can't pay that, and most collectors wouldn't pay that, even if they could.
Yeah. You know, just that has no, I mean, that's just way over the top for me. So I mean, it's kind of crazy.
I think it's a positive from the headlines perspective, and giving people warm and fuzzy to buy cards. Gives them more of a warm and fuzzy, you know, they're going to hold value, I guess. I guess there are definitely positives that come from it and the publicity for the card collecting community in general. But it also just promotes more of the same. What's the hobby turning into? It's turning into an asset class. And so many of the cards I collect are not in that class. You know, I just collect it because I want to collect them. But I think there needs to be more promoting of just collecting for enjoyment too, not just for the money value of what you can buy. And I think that's why so many cards that I like to collect are so cheap now, because everybody's chasing those investment type cards that everybody knows about. You know, most people aren't that educated in the hobby. They're not that educated on cards. And so they're not chasing these rare cards that you and I are chasing. That's why we can get them for a couple grand. And, you know, there's only 3 of them in existence or whatever, because people don't know about them. The investors don't know about them. They're not the cards shown on every magazine and every auction and every video where people are going to buy them up thinking that they're going to be worth a lot more in the future. No, those are strictly the Leaf Jackie, the 52 man. You know, those are the ones seen over and over and over again.
Sure.
So that's what's going to sell, and that's what's going to be considered investment quality cards.
Yeah.
But you never know. Things change. And there are a lot of cards in the old days that you couldn't give away that now sell for thousands. So I like to always say, when they zig, I zag. So I've been buying up those kinds of cards more and staying away from the big dream cards for the most part. I got a few that I really wanted and clearly had to pay up for them. And now I'm you know, buying stuff I don't have to pay that kind of money for. I don't have to pay up for. Because I look at those dream cards and I truly enjoy looking at them. I love owning them. But there are so many other cards that are worth a fraction of them that I love just as much. And I want in my collection just as much.
Yeah. And
in many ways, it's better because it's stressful to buy the big cards.
Sure.
It could be stressful. And you could have buyer's remorse.
Exactly.
And you might be looking at one of those cards, and 3 months from now, you notice something you didn't notice when you bought it. And you're like, oh, I don't know if I would have bought this if I noticed this or whatever. You know the collector's mind and how it works.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the stuff, you know, you buy off eBay or whatever, and when you get it, you're going, let's make sure. All right, it looks great.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly right. You open it, and you're like, oh yes, it's like I thought.
And a few times you're going, oh shit, I didn't see that. You know, that type of thing.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, I've never had anything drastic where I would send it back or anything like that. Yeah. But sometimes you just won't notice something. Like I can look at a card 10 times. And, you know, a week later, I noticed something I didn't notice before. So it happens. Well, Rick, I think this was a good talk.
Yeah.
I appreciate all your knowledge that you shared. I think everybody that watched this will also appreciate that. Any last thoughts?
No, No, we'll have to figure out a topic. I think we have a topic we can save for next week, and I have a few ideas. And
Okay.
we'll figure out something. If somebody in the chat has an idea we should talk about, let us know, or comment down below and let us know. We're open to pretty much talk about anything within reason. So yeah,
With this hobby, I don't think we're ever going to run out of topics.
no, there's
It's just a matter of what we want to talk about and what we don't want to talk about, because we avoid a lot of topics.
oh, exactly. That's the exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, our thing is to bring education and
Sure.
to talk about it, and I think that's what we were trying to do here a little bit,
Yeah.
and to bring awareness.
And also, people can comment. There's plenty other. I'm just showing cards that I have and John has, but there's a lot of different issues that need to be corrected on the label.
A myriad,
a ton. That's I could have a list, but I just don't own the card, so I just don't want to bring up an issue that I'm not going to show. So.
yeah. Now, if the grading companies want to reach out, we'll form a roundtable, and we'll have our own research advisory committee for them.
They're going to go,
and we could comprise a complete as complete a list as we can.
This is what you get anyway. P.S. Hello, is someone there? Hello. It's like trying to get a hold of Google or any other, the DMV or any other.
Well, you know what? I mean, if we pay them, they might pay attention. That's what they care about.
Exactly.
All right, Rick.
Hey, great talk. I enjoyed it. Talking cards.
Give me your close.
This is Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards. Bye.
I got to go.